Hey folks, allow me to introduce you to the Glock 26 Gen 4. The first thing to notice about this gun is its looks. It certainly will not win a beauty contest. No shiny steel, no wood grain finish, just a plain black boxy thingamajig. I bought this gun new about 1.5 years ago from a local gun dealer, and I paid somewhere between $5.25 and $5.50 for it. I bought this particular gun for a number of reasons which I shall outline here. Number one, it's a Glock. On the positive side, I've read and heard over the years from a myriad of sources that you either love Glocks or you hate them. From friends to gun dealers to blogging enthusiasts to famous YouTubers, what I was hearing and reading was pretty consistent. Those who love Glocks bragged about their reliability, quality, and price. I also heard from a lot of people talking about how Glocks are the AK-47 of pistols. You can throw them in a river, get sand in them, whatever, and they will still fire with no problem. I wouldn't recommend it, but that's what I've heard many times from many sources. I myself have fired a Glock that was run over by a car. On the negative side, a few lovers and haters alike seem to complain about or at least mention the inconsistent trigger. More on that later. Number two, interchangeable magazines. This allows me to have 3 guns, all 9mm, with what I call downward capacity compatibility. I'll explain. Glock makes, among other 9mm models, the 17, the 19, and the 26. The Model 17 uses 17-round magazines, the 19 uses 15-round magazines, and the Model 26 10-round magazines. However, you can take a 17-round magazine from a Glock 17, plug it into a Glock 19 or 26, and you're good to go. A concealed carry gun that can take a magazine designed for a full-size 17-round weapon or a mid-size 15-rounder. I love it. And since I had plans on buying a Glock 19 in the future anyway, it was a perfect fit. Number 3, magazine capacity. Closely related to the interchangeable magazines is magazine capacity. Yes, I have heard or read that the average gunfight is 2.3 shots. I get that. But for me, more is better for a couple of reasons. A, every firearm defense expert out there will tell you that you should practice with the gun you carry. And B, I don't want my practice sessions ruined because I have to reload every 6 or 7 shots. For concealed carry, I wanted a minimum 10-round capacity. As an added bonus, you can buy a 33-round magazine that will also fit the Glock 17, 19, and 26. A concealed carry weapon that can hold 33 rounds. Now you're talking. Number 4, Glock Gen 4s come with 3 magazines. When I bought this gun, Glock was the only manufacturer that I knew of that sold their gun with 3 magazines. It was the only manufacturer I knew of that had the downward capacity compatibility, of which I spoke in reason number 2. While there are other manufacturers who may have adopted this idea, I'm not aware of them. Number 5, magazines from a Gen 3 will fit a Gen 4 as long as you don't move the mag release button on the Gen 4 from the left side of the gun to the right side of the gun. I didn't plan on doing that anyway, so I didn't have to double check that I was buying Gen 4 magazines and not Gen 3. Simple. I like that. Number 6, Because A, I planned on buying a Glock 19 to carry as a backup gun, B, it's the same caliber as the 26, and C, because of the downward capacity compatibility, I wouldn't need to worry about carrying different magazines or different caliber ammunition for different guns. And since the 26 is my primary gun, I don't have to worry about trying to shove a 10-round magazine into my 19. That won't work unless I buy a California compliant magazine, and that just ain't happening. Number 7, larger mag release button. One complaint you will hear or read about with regard to the Gen 3 Glocks was the small mag release button. Having to eject the magazine with both hands seemed to be a concern of many, so Glock responded to the concerns of their customers and fans with a larger mag release button. I figured with what seemed to be such widespread concern over that issue, I would avoid it altogether and go with the Gen 4. Number 8, availability of parts and accessories. I seriously doubt there is a gun dealer anywhere in the country who doesn't have Glock parts and accessories in stock. It wouldn't surprise me to learn that many dealers have enough parts and accessories to build several new Glocks right there in the store. Number 9, warranties and customer service. I've never had any issue with my gun, so I don't have any experience with Glock's customer service. However, I hear their customer service is really good. From what I understand, you can ship your gun to the manufacturer and they will fix it at no charge. Keep in mind that that is my understanding, not my experience. Number 10, striker fire action. I abhor the idea of using a single action only or double action only gun for protection. I wanted either a single action, double action hammer or a striker fired gun. A single action cowboy revolver would be cool for plinking, but not when my life may depend on it. Plus, there's the added bonus of not having to worry about snagging the hammer on something when you need to pull your gun in a hurry. Number 11, caliber. It's a 9mm. I wanted a 9mm because I had a Glock 19 Gen 3 at one time that I really liked a lot. I knew I was going to replace it eventually, but at the time, I wanted something that was more concealable. B, 9mm ammunition is used by police departments and governments the world over. It's literally everywhere. C, I had a 40 and I didn't like it. The recoil of that particular gun was too much for me. I missed my target more often than I hit it, and it took too long for me to get the gun back on the target for my next shot. I reasoned that it's better to hit your target once than to miss it twice. D, the 9mm was a nice fit for me. I can hit the target, get the gun back on target for my next shot, and do so much more quickly. E, 40 caliber ammunition is more expensive than the 9mm, and while it's pretty easy to find, the 9mm round is much more plentiful. Number 12, lack of a manual safety. It's not a matter of being an outlaw Josie Wales, a dirty Harry Callahan, Wyatt Earp, or some other tough guy. And it's certainly not because I think I'm invincible. I just prefer not to have them because you are then forced to exercise gun safety that much more diligently. Number 13, you have to dry fire it in order to take it apart. Again, this forces you to check, double check, and triple check that it is not loaded, which enforces safety practices. Number 14, because you have to dry fire it in order to take it apart, you know dry firing it as a part of an aiming and trigger squeezing practice routine won't hurt it. What I don't like about the Glock 26 Gen 4, number 1, back to the inconsistent trigger. I experienced firsthand the inconsistent trigger of which many others have spoken. The trigger seems pretty consistent after having fired the gun, then releasing the trigger completely before pulling the trigger for the next shot. But if you fire the gun and release the trigger only until it resets and pull the trigger again for a second quick shot, or double tapping as it's called, that's where I notice the inconsistency. And if I, as an amateur shooter, can notice it, I can only imagine how it screams at the experts. This is something that is very dangerous and requires a lot of practice before you can do it safely, especially before you go trying to do it in a gunfight. Number 2, one thing I did experience for a while is that I had failure to feed and ejection issues with 115 grain ammunition. The problem went away when I switched over to 124 or 147 grain. I had a former Marine friend of mine tell me that for some reason handguns with shorter barrels like heavier grain bullets. There certainly seems to be a lot of truth to that, because I had another friend of mine who has a Kimber Solo stainless. He told me that the manual for his gun says to use 124 grain or heavier bullets, otherwise the gun could jam. Failure to feed and failure to eject issues with 115 grain ammunition is an issue inherent in handguns with short barrels in general, not with the Glock 26 or even the Glock brand in particular. Stick with the 124 or the 147 grain ammo and you'll be fine. Number 3, while I do wish it was a lighter gun would mean a lower ammunition capacity. I'm just not willing to make that trade-off. I listed 14 reasons why I bought the Glock 26, and nearly half of them are related in some way to magazine capacity. Number 4, it is ugly. It's uglier than a 400-pound feminazi with a crew cut and lip piercings. In all fairness, however, it is a tool, not a piece of jewelry. Overall, I'm very happy with my Glock 26. In addition to the reasons cited above, it's very comfortable in my hand, it's reliable, and it's a good quality gun at a mid-range price. As for accuracy, I'll paraphrase Hickok 45 here. Any gun out there is probably more accurate than you are. I must concur. That's certainly true in my case. Maybe you're a newbie to the gun world and you're thinking about buying a gun. While I'm no expert in the area of firearms, please hear me out. I do have some good suggestions for you. Number 1, take your time researching guns you think you might like. Talk to gun people. Borrow guns from friends and family, or go shooting with the owner. Go to gun dealers and handle them. Point it at something, just don't point it at the clerk. How does it feel in your hand? Is it too big? Is it too small? Is it too heavy? Number 2, after you've narrowed the field to a short list of preferred guns, rent those guns. Fire them. Yes, it can get costly doing that, especially when you go home without a gun to call your own. Trust me though when I say it will be money well spent, because it will save you time and money in the long run. I wish I had had the patience to do that. I could have saved quite a chunk of money. As for caliber, buy the biggest caliber that is plentiful and easy to get. You can shoot well, and if you're concerned about the price, affordable. If you buy a gun that uses ammunition that is hard to get, too expensive, or you just can't shoot it well, you probably won't shoot it. You almost certainly won't shoot it enough to become proficient with it. Number 3, finally, you could just go with a Glock. For the price, quality, and reliability, you just can't go wrong. Okay, the specs on this gun. The length is 6.41 inches. The width is 1.18 inches. Between the sights is 5.39 inches. The height is 4.17 inches. And the barrel length is 3.42 inches. The weight, unloaded, 19.75 ounces, and loaded, 26.1 ounces. Vigilant Defender here. Thanks for watching, everybody. Hit like and subscribe, and I hope to see you next week.